Hi and good day to you all. This is Zubin Vevaina from A to Z Graphology. I'm so excited for today's video because this is one of the letters which I'm going to teach you today that actually represents the shortest time period to convert a thought into an action. Those thoughts that can be converted into the action without planning, a pure activity that is seen in today's letter. We are going to study about the letter L. The letter L represents that mindset that is able to convert something that you think, something that you feel, something that you want to do into a live action. What you thought about doing, if you're going to convert it into something that is going to be in real world, live scenario, and it's going to be an action, then that will be seen in the letter L. So let's jump on to the video and change perspective. The letter L in the English alphabet, the small letter L, is written as a simple line. Now it's difficult to understand the line like this unless we use a middle zone letter to see the height of the letter L. In the couple of previous videos, I had taught you about different letter structures like A and C and E and even the letter I. These letters are coming in the middle zone. The letter L comes into a zone which is including the middle zone and the upper zone. Whatever comes above this height of the eye is shown as the upper zone. Whatever comes in this area is the middle zone. The middle zone consists of those thought processes that deal with present tense activities. Those activities which you don't need to plan, you don't need to think too much, you can just get on to doing it. It's like if you're an experienced driver, you just sit in the car, you put the car on, you put it into gear, and you drive away. So that whole process, as an expert or as an experienced driver, becomes a middle zone activity. If you are having a meal to be cooked, or if you have to brush your teeth, all those activities are middle zone activities. Now, what the L shows us is that we are having a thought process before the activity. The activity is done in this area of the handwriting, and the thought processes or the thinking patterns are initially seen here. In handwriting analysis, there are many ways to see how a person thinks about something, and when we go into the videos later on, we'll be getting into that in a bit of detail. The letter L shows us that activity that requires a little thinking, and it is able to convert that thought into actions immediately. Let's take for an example. If you know how to drive, then the activity of driving, changing gears, putting the steering wheel in the correct angle, pressing the brake, pressing the clutch, all that is the middle zone activity. But if you have to go somewhere, if you have to go from your home to your college, from your home to your office, then that requires a bit of thinking. Just because you know how to drive does not mean that you will reach the place unless you think correctly. So when you are leaving home, your mind has thought about reaching the office, and then after you've thought about it, immediately the action follows. You follow a certain path and you reach your office in some time. Let's say you know how to cook food. Cooking food, putting the correct spices, putting the correct ingredients into the food is the middle zone activity. But what you want to have, or what exactly do you want to have as a dish or as a meal, that thinking process is seen here. So let's take for example, today you want to have a tomato soup, or you want to have a cheese sandwich. You know how to make the cheese sandwich, the actual activity is here, but the thought of making it comes here. So we are seeing that the letter L represents that thought process that allows us to think and do. It's as simple as that. What if a person writes an L like this? Now, this L is normally seen in cursive writing as a connection. When people have a connected writing, it means that they want to connect thoughts to one another. If I write the word all, the connections help me to connect the letter L and the loop formation comes. Now, if this formation comes as a connection, it shows that the person is able to think and do even during the activity or during an action. So, he is going to be very alert and aware about different scenarios. Let's take an example. If you've got to go from your home to your office, or you want to go from the home to the theater, and there are three different routes that you can take to the destination. If one of the routes is crowded, this person will be able to change his direction and take the second route or the third route to reach the destination without having too much trouble. These people are creative and they're able to creatively think and do. In this letter which I taught you, the line is simply going downwards. So he's just having a plain thought and he's having an activity that follows it. Oh, here, however, the person is having a creative thought and then an activity. So, yes, it does make the person a bit more creative. His actions look a bit more fruitful. And yes, it's easier to write a letter L with a loop formation if it is in a connection. If by chance you written the letter L like this, but as the first letter of the word, if I wrote this word and the first letter L has got this formation, now this becomes a starting stroke. This starting stroke means that the person is having a pre thought before the activity has started. Now, it's not all that bad to put this stroke. Sometimes it looks not too bad. But every letter L, if it has this formation, whether it has a connection or not, then this person is going to have an overthinking process. You see, the advantage of thinking and doing is slightly lost over here, where the person takes time to actually have a pre thought and then later on he is actually thinking and doing. So these people delay thoughts convert into action if their letter L is looped at the first letter of the word too many times. Let's give you an example. If I am starting from this point here and I am starting from this point here, if we go with the same speed, you see, by the time I came up to here, I've already finished this letter. So these people are much more faster than this. Yes, the looped L shows creativity. It shows patience to think about what you want to do. But there are moments in life where you have to be a bit more spontaneous, a bit more quick in applying thoughts into action. These people's reflexes are slightly more better than these people. If this L comes in a connection, then we have to be taking it as a connective thought and not as a pre thought. The difference between this L, this one, and this one is quite different. The connection of the L with the before letter and the after letter is a requirement here. So these two strokes are necessary. However, this one is an ending stroke, it's a post thought, which helps us to have a letter L as an ending stroke. This stroke is also required so that we can have a smooth connection. If we have it as the first letter, then this becomes as a starting stroke. Whenever you're analyzing handwriting, try to think about what strokes in your letter formations is not required. If I have the letter L written like this, okay, now what's happening is that it looks the same but it's got this extra stroke. If I cut the L from here, it still exists as a letter L. In graphology, we try to make things simple and less complicated by avoiding strokes like these. This means the person is going to brood about what he's been thinking and wanting to plan to do. this makes the person actually delay action rather than just getting on with it. These people tend to procrastinate in terms of action that could have been done quickly, and they tend to delay thoughts being converted into action. The reason why I compared the letter L to letter I is because you see, I is a slightly more simpler formation than the letter L. It represents middle zone taking activity. This represents upper zone and middle zone taking activity. While eating food, the way my spoon moves from the plate to the mouth, or the way I serve myself, these are almost subconscious activities of taking. You can't even bother about thinking about it too much. Yes, you can be a bit careful so that you don't spill the food or you don't spoil your clothes while eating. But this I letter shows that mindset that is related to spontaneous taking. Now, if you see that the I is actually a small component of the letter L, so spontaneous taking is here, but it is accompanied with a thought process. So, quick thinking and taking is seen in the letter L. At the dinner table, what you want to eat and what you want to mix the food with, that thought process is here, and then you take the food. The actual activity of just eating the food, the chewing activity, the swallowing activity, all those is seen here. So if you compare the letter L and compare the letter I with each other, your analysis will show you how well the person is able to just quickly do an activity and how well is he able to manage thoughts with a quick activity. So this was about the letter L today, and if you really get deep into this topic, you'll realize that the L can really help you to convert your thoughts into action. The most precious and the most expensive thing on the earth right now, or since a long time actually, has been activating thoughts. A new thought, a brilliantly fresh thought that comes to your mind that looks absolutely beautiful in your mind, that energy in that thought can be captured and put into work if you are able to act upon it quickly. That mindset that helps you to act upon a thought, a fresh thought quickly, is seen in the letter L. So, yes, this letter L is a very simple formation, but as they say, there is power in simplicity. We saw that the letter I also has a lot of power in terms of how we are able to manage pure taking in the middle zone activities. Same way, the letter L helps us with little. It helps us to think a little before we do an activity. So take advantage of this letter L. Make sure that the letter L that you write is strong and it's neat. Avoid pen flicks. I'll put a link up in the description over here somewhere that will show you what pen flick means. Avoid a pen flick in any letter whatsoever. It really ruins the power of a thought. Everything that you have today in your hand, in your life, was once a thought, and now it is a reality. That difference of a thought coming into reality is there as a potential in this letter L. So grab onto this potential and let it work for you. Let the handwriting be your servant. Let it serve you as a diagnostic tool, and yes, it can act as a bit of a therapy. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you learned today, click the like button, and if you would like to get some more updates on the letters to come ahead, do subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.